Two boys born in the same city, attending the same school, growing up on the same streets, but ending up with completely different lives. One becomes a millionaire who loses everything. The other quietly builds wealth and financial freedom. What made the difference? Intelligence?
Luck?
Hard work? Surprisingly, none of these. It was the summer of 1995. Two best friends, Ryan and Daniel, graduated from college together. Ryan was the star student. He always topped the class. Professors called him a genius. Everyone believed he would become rich. Daniel? Well, Daniel wasn't extraordinary. He scored average grades. He wasn't the smartest in the room, but he had something nobody noticed. He had patience. The day they graduated, Ryan looked at Daniel and laughed. 5 years from now, Ryan said confidently, I'll be driving a Ferrari. Daniel smiled. I hope you do.
That was all he said.
5 years passed. Ryan got exactly what he wanted. A 6-figure Wall Street job, luxury apartment, sports car, designer suits. Every weekend his Instagram looked like a movie. Everyone admired him. Daniel, on the other hand, worked a normal office job, drove an old Honda, lived in a small apartment. Many people secretly thought, he isn't ambitious. But what nobody knew was that every month Daniel quietly invested 25% of his salary. Not because he earned more, because he spent less. One evening, Ryan invited Daniel to dinner. The restaurant overlooked the New York skyline. Ryan proudly pointed toward his new Rolex. Look at this. $18,000. Daniel smiled. It looks nice. Ryan asked, so, when are you finally going to enjoy life? Daniel answered calmly, I do enjoy life. Ryan laughed. No, I mean real success. Daniel looked outside the window. You know what's funny? People think money buys freedom.
Sometimes.
Money buys pressure. Ryan didn't understand. Years went by. Ryan's salary doubled, then tripled. His lifestyle grew even faster. Bigger house, luxury vacations, expensive watches, private clubs. Every raise disappeared within months. He wasn't becoming richer. He was becoming more expensive. Daniel's salary also increased, but almost nobody noticed, because he kept living almost exactly the same way. Whenever his income increased, his investments increased too. He wasn't trying to impress people. He was trying to impress his future self.
Then, 2008 happened.
The global financial crisis. Stock markets crashed. Banks collapsed. Millions panicked. Ryan watched his investments lose almost half their value. He couldn't sleep. He sold everything. At least I'll save what's left. His fear made the decision. Daniel opened the same stock market chart. He also saw red numbers everywhere. But instead of selling,
he bought more.
People called him crazy. His relatives warned him. His coworkers laughed. You're throwing money away. Daniel simply replied, I'm buying businesses on sale. Months turned into years. Markets recovered. Ryan regretted selling. He wanted to invest again. But now prices looked too high. He waited, then waited longer. Fear kept changing its disguise. First he feared losing money. Now he feared paying too much. So he stayed on the sidelines. Daniel never tried predicting the market. He just kept investing every month. Whether stocks were high or low, he understood something powerful. The market rewards consistency, not intelligence. One day, Ryan finally asked Daniel, tell me honestly, how do you always stay calm? Daniel smiled. Because I don't believe money is about numbers. Ryan looked confused. What do you mean? Daniel replied, money is mostly psychology. You think wealth comes from making perfect decisions. It doesn't. It comes from avoiding stupid emotional decisions. Ryan stayed silent. For the first time, he wasn't teaching. He was learning.
Think about it.
Have you ever bought something, not because you needed it, but because someone else owned it? A bigger phone, a more expensive car, a luxury watch. Not for yourself, but because you wanted people to notice. That feeling has destroyed more wealth than bad investments ever have. This is called the comparison trap, and almost everyone falls into it. One day, Daniel visited his grandfather. The old man had lived through wars,
Recessions.
and financial crises. Daniel asked, "Grandpa, what's the biggest lesson money ever taught you?" The old man smiled. Then he pointed toward an old wooden chair. "I bought this chair 40 years ago. It still works." People today replace things that aren't broken. They also replace happiness before it's broken. Daniel never forgot those words. Years later, Ryan finally achieved something he had dreamed about for decades. His net worth crossed $1 million. He celebrated with a luxury party, champagne, celebrities, expensive gifts. The next morning, he woke up, feeling exactly the same. Because goals don't magically create happiness. They simply move the finish line. As soon as people reach one target, they create another. This is called the hedonic treadmill, the race where nobody wins. Meanwhile, Daniel crossed the same million-dollar milestone. Nobody knew, not even most of his friends. He celebrated quietly by taking his parents to dinner. No social media, no expensive party, no announcements. Because true wealth is often invisible. The biggest mistake people make is judging wealth by what they can see. The mansion, the Lamborghini, the designer clothes. But real wealth is what you don't see. The investments, the savings, the financial freedom, the ability to wake up and choose how to spend your day. Then one evening, Ryan asked the question that changed everything. If money isn't about becoming rich,
Then what is it really about?
Daniel looked at him and smiled. It's about buying control over your time. And once you understand that, you'll never think about money the same way again. Ryan couldn't stop thinking about Daniel's words. Money buys control over your time. It sounded simple, but the more he thought about it, the more it bothered him. For years, he believed wealth meant expensive cars, luxury vacations, and a big salary. Now he wasn't so sure. One Saturday morning, Ryan visited Daniel's home. He expected to see signs of hidden wealth. A giant mansion, luxury furniture, something. Instead, Daniel lived in the same comfortable house he'd owned for years.
His car was still ordinary. His clothes were simple.
Ryan finally asked, "Daniel, where is all your money?" Daniel smiled. "You can't see wealth." Ryan looked confused. "What do you mean?" Daniel opened his investment account. Ryan's eyes widened. Millions of dollars. No flashy lifestyle. No unnecessary spending. Just years of patient investing. Daniel said, "People spend money to look rich. The truly wealthy often don't. The invisible rich." Daniel walked to his bookshelf and picked up a photo album. The first picture showed the two of them just after graduation. "We both started at the same point," Daniel said. "The difference wasn't income. It was behavior." He continued, "Most people think getting rich depends on earning more. But keeping wealth depends on spending less than you earn." Ryan remembered all the luxury purchases he'd made. Every promotion had become an excuse to upgrade his lifestyle. He wasn't building wealth. He was financing appearances. The dangerous game of luck. A few weeks later, Ryan attended a business conference. One speaker proudly claimed, "I turned $50,000 into $10 million in 5 years." The audience erupted in applause. Everyone wanted to copy his strategy. After the session, Ryan asked Daniel, "Should I invest the same way?" Daniel shook his head. "You're only seeing the winners. For every success story, there are hundreds who tried the same thing and failed." He explained something Ryan had never considered. Luck and risk are twins. When someone succeeds, we often call it skill. When someone fails, we call it stupidity. But sometimes, both simply experience different outcomes. That's why you should never build your financial life by copying someone else's extraordinary success. Build it around what survives bad luck. The power of enough. Months later, Ryan received an offer. A new company wanted to hire him. The salary was incredible, but the workload was brutal. 90-hour weeks, constant travel, almost no family time. He immediately called Daniel. "What would you do?" Daniel asked one question. "How much is enough?" Ryan didn't have an answer. Daniel continued. The world teaches us to always want more. But the happiest people know when enough is enough. If your desire keeps growing faster than your income, you'll never feel rich. That sentence hit Ryan harder than any financial advice he'd ever heard. For the first time in years, he declined the offer. He chose time over status. Compounding isn't just about money. Daniel met Ryan at a park one evening. Children were playing nearby. An old man slowly watered a tiny tree. Ryan smiled. "That tree is so small." Daniel replied, "Exactly. If you came back 20 years from now, it would be enormous." Money works the same way. The first years feel painfully slow. You wonder if investing even matters. But then something incredible happens. The growth starts growing itself. That is compounding. Not magic, just patience. The hardest part isn't understanding it. It's waiting long enough to benefit from it. The biggest financial mistake. One winter evening, the stock market suddenly dropped again. News channels screamed, "Market crash." Experts predicted disaster. Ryan felt panic rising. He picked up his phone. His finger hovered over the sell button. Then he remembered 2008. He remembered Daniel. Instead of selling, he called him. Daniel answered calmly. "What's wrong?" "The market is crashing." Daniel laughed softly.
No.
The market is behaving exactly like markets do. If volatility scares you, you'll never receive the reward that comes from staying invested.
Ryan slowly put his phone down.
For the first time in his life, he chose patience over panic. The richest person Ryan ever met. Years later, Ryan met a billionaire during a charity event. He expected arrogance. Instead, the man wore a simple sweater. He drove his own car. He waited in line for coffee like everyone else. Ryan finally asked, "Why don't you enjoy your money more?" The billionaire smiled. "I do. My favorite luxury is peace. I don't need strangers to know I'm rich. I need my family to know I'm present." Ryan suddenly realized something. The richest people aren't always the loudest. Sometimes, they're the quietest people in the room. The final lesson. Many years passed. Ryan retired earlier than he ever imagined possible. Not because he had the highest salary, but because he finally understood money. One evening, he sat with Daniel on the same bench where they had talked years before. The sun slowly disappeared behind the horizon. Ryan smiled. "You know, I spent half my life trying to look successful, and the other half trying to become successful." Daniel laughed. "So, what did you learn?" Ryan looked into the distance. "I learned that money isn't about buying things. It's about buying choices. The choice to spend time with your family, the choice to leave a job you hate, the choice to sleep peacefully, the choice to help others." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. Money is a tool, not the destination." Final message. Most people spend their lives chasing money. Very few spend time understanding their relationship with it. The truth is, you don't need to be the smartest investor. You don't need to predict the stock market. You don't need to become the next billionaire. You simply need to spend less than you earn. Invest consistently. Stay patient. Ignore comparison. Know what enough means. Let compounding do its work. Protect your time more than your ego. Because in the end, wealth isn't measured by the car in your garage. It's measured by the freedom in your calendar. And that's the real psychology of money. If this story changed the way you think about money, let me know in the comments which lesson hit you the hardest. And if you want more powerful stories about money, business, and success, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'll see you in the next story.